Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Hello everybody, welcome to the Splash Live. I'm your host Jake Schaff, bringing you all of the latest news and stories from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Recently in West Bloomfield, a changing of the guard was made official. As this past Friday, Greg Flynn officially retired from the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Mark Lawry is now at the helm in the role of Fire Chief, while Blake Belsky has moved up to the role of Deputy Chief. It was a powerful and, at times, emotional event as we celebrated this new era of the West Bloomfield Fire Department. I spoke with several people at the event who shared their thoughts on Greg Flynn and his commanding impact on Greater West Bloomfield.
I'm pretty happy, a little bittersweet. Greg and I were hired together, so I'm going to miss his brotherhood, his friendship on a daily basis. Congratulations to him. I look forward to what's his next chapter and what's coming up for him. And I look forward to working with Mark and Blake for the change that's coming in the future.
He's an incredible people person, really is. And you know, during my tenure, I had a lot of experience working with the local, community through Optimist Club. I actually was a past president here in West Bloomfield, and Greg would step in, and just his ability to speak publicly is at a different level. Does just an amazing job. People flock to him, and he's leveraged that well, but he's done it very humbly. It starts with the township board, entrusting their leaders within the community, both fire, police, water, sewer, all of those things. People do come to us, and so working together as a team, but Greg has represented well, and he'll continue to do that. We do like to come back and, for these types of events as retired individuals, and I do keep in contact with many people. So, been wonderful, but to work for this community, for the citizens here, who entrusted us to take care of them in times of need, it's just an incredible honor, and Greg represents just very, very well.
Yeah, just very proud of him, the dedication he's had to the community. He spent his whole career here. I remember as a kid when being very little and him having the overnight shifts here, and then seeing him be promoted to captain, assistant chief, and now retiring from chief. It's been a great journey to see him with his time in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, I'm used to, I get to see both sides. I get to see the fire chief, and I get to see the dad when he comes home, after work. And to see all these people show up is, special for me. It means that other people care. And, I'm really happy to see the community show up for him and really see their support.
I'm extremely proud of him. He's put in a lot of hard work. There'd be a lot of days and nights that he wouldn't be at home, and I knew that he was making a lasting impact on the community and the people that live in this community. So I'm extremely proud of him, and someone that leads by example, and you want to follow in their footsteps.
As you head off to retirement, or in this case, rewirement, what do you hope are the most important things that the West Bloomfield community remembers and understands about your time and your tenure as fire chief?
Well, that's a powerful question, and I hope they remember the service that was provided by the men and women. I have the privilege to lead the organization and leadership in the sense of in an office and from a desk. The men and women that are on these trucks that you see up and down the street, they're the ones that are making that real impact, and it's truly been an honor and a privilege to support the work that they do in this street.
I speak for everybody here with Civic Center TV as we salute Greg Flynn for all of his hard work and dedication, and wish him all of the best with his next chapter. And with Mark Lawry and Blake Belsky at the helm, the West Bloomfield Fire Department is in excellent hands as we start to look towards the future. All amazing things. It was such a great time to be out there at that event and to be supporting Greg as he enters this next chapter of his life, and as we celebrate Mark and Blake for moving up to their new positions with the fire department. And you can check out the full ceremony on civiccentertv.com to see the entire ceremony to honor Greg, Mark, and Blake. Also to note, over the weekend, the fire department took part in specialized rescue training, and a helicopter was visible near West Bloomfield High School during the training, resulting in this pretty cool shot that our own Tyler Kieft got during the day to see the helicopter in action. Here's the shot. interesting shot, and it just shows that the fire department is working all day, every day to make sure that everything is up to standards, keeping track all throughout the time. Also over the weekend, a few familiar faces from West Bloomfield High School made their grand return to Michigan to get the next generation of football players ready for the Friday Night Lights. First was college star Brandon Davis Swain, who held his 3rd annual football camp at his old stomping grounds, West Bloomfield High School, this weekend. Our own Tyler Keefe stopped by the camp to hear what residents had to say.
Tyler Keefe alongside Brandon Davis Swain at West Bloomfield High School, his alma mater, for his 3rd annual youth football camp. He put on this free camp for the kids to come in here. Inspired a lot by your experiences as a young kid. How did those camps, when you were coming up, help you develop into the player you are today?
Yeah, I would say it was just fun, you know, coming out, like seeing players in college, seeing players that made it, you know, just having a good time. And just coming out here and being myself as a kid, you know, as a little kid, just having fun.
It's great, too, because it's open to not just kids in West Bloomfield, but from all throughout Oakland County, southeastern Michigan. They come out here. It kind of starts those building blocks for a football community for that next generation. Did you find that that's what happened with you coming up in those camps, that you got to meet a lot of people that became your teammates, became your friends, became some of your rivals?
Yeah, I'll definitely say, like, growing up, you know, like throwing this now, it's amazing. Just seeing kids that look up to me, you know, how I looked up to somebody when I was little, you know, just seeing them having fun today, you know, just giving it all for free. That's what matters for them.
Who are some of the guys as you were coming up that would throw some of these camps that maybe this is a bit inspired by?
Yeah. I was so little. It's like, I've been to so many. What's the camp that I went to? I can't think of none off my head, but when I've been to so many camps, I can't even think of one right now.
And that's because Michigan, and especially Southeast Michigan, Metro Detroit, the city of, it's a football hotbed. So many great players from around the country have come out of this particular area. Now that we're starting to see that West Bloomfield's sort of one of those places that's a breeding ground for so many great football players. How do you believe that that inspires this next generation of players that are on the field right now and may be Lakers in years to come?
Yeah, I definitely, I think, you know, they like or they love the opportunity to come out here, just, you know, have fun as a kid, you know, get to talk to me, you know, sign things, take pictures. You know, I think that's the biggest thing, like, you know, if they look up to someone, you know, getting to know them, you know, me and them. So after they're done, get to meet me, take pictures, or do whatever.
How important is mentorship at that young age as you're starting to learn this game, well before you start playing competitive tackle football?
Yeah, it's definitely important, you know. Like I said, just me and, like, if me and somebody you look up to, you know, like, and see what they done, you know, their college or in the NFL, that makes you know you want to work, you know, just get better, like go to camps again to see them, you know what I mean?
It's kids too, Brandon, that are coming into West Bloomfield High School, maybe a freshman this year, coming up in a couple of years. They want to be in your position. They want to be one of the all-time greats in the MHSAA, hold records as we've seen off on the video board over there, end up playing D1 football. What's your message to them about what they need to do to get down that long road to where you're at today?
Yeah, I definitely say, you know, just like, don't forget, like, what you came from or where you came from. I mean, you know, always work, put in the extra work. And then most importantly, listen to your parents. You know, have faith in God, and, you know, listen to your coaches as well.
Talking to Big Brandon before about this camp, and we had him on the Splash recently as a preview of this. Your family was a big inspiration for this, particularly your grandmother and her involvement in the community. For you personally, how does that play a factor into your desire to give back here in West Bloomfield and especially in the Detroit area?
Yeah, it's just, me personally, I say, like, just giving back. You know, my dad, like my dad said, he loves giving back. He said he thinks that's one of the most important things to do as a player, is to give back, you know, to where you came from, where you played at. You know, for my grandmother, she said, like, she's the same way, like, give it back. She loves giving back, you know what I mean? So, you know, her having her pushing me to do this too is amazing.
Well, last year we were all decked out in Colorado gold, as was the year before. Now a different change of scenery, the transfer portal, you're going to Texas A&M. What about that environment made you want to be an Aggie?
Yeah, I say definitely the coaching staff, great coaching staff, you know, just the environment, you know, like the culture there at Texas A&M, you know, they put like defensive linemen in the league constantly every year. Like just this past year they had, I think it was three guys go to the league this year, third round, You know, it's just like it's a major culture there. You know, I love my team. I love the environment. I love everything. Right?
Get some playing time, get your number back in the 11 down in College Station. And hey, look, a lot of competition here too now. Maxwell Hairston, who has a camp this weekend, highest drafted Laker ever, late in the first round. Now it's your chance to try to go a little bit higher, a little friendly competition there?
Yes, sir. Of course, my dude Max got his camp tomorrow. That's my dog. You know, I looked up to him too. My freshman year when we won the state championship, he was here. You know, he went first round and one of the fastest 40 times. And then his camp's tomorrow. And it's gonna be a great camp for sure.
Brendan, your lasting message for these kids, for the West Bloomfield community that loves football, these kids that want to be playing the game that they love for years to come. What's your lasting message to them of inspiration as they begin their football journey while you are in the thick of yours?
Yeah, I definitely say, you know, don't give up on yourself. You know, when times get hard, when you feel like you can't do this, you can do it, man. Just go out there. You know you can do it. It might take some time. You're gonna need to get used to it. Just go out there, believe in yourself, and you go get it done.
And if you don't, come to these football camps because they'll make sure you believe in yourself by the time you leave. Brandon, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
It's incredible to see these Laker legends coming back to West Bloomfield to showing the community what they've learned in their time in college or in some cases in the NFL. Because as Brandon said, he was not the only former Laker to have had a football camp that weekend, as the very next day, NFL first-round pick Maxwell Hairston, who is now a cornerback for the Buffalo Bills, also showed some respect to the place he began his football career some years ago. Tyler Keefe stopped by that camp as well to speak with Mad Max and to get all the details.
The last time we were on this field with Mad Max Hairston, completely different circumstances. Recent high school graduate, could not have been a colder, snowier day as he signed this letter of intent to play at Kentucky. Max, having you back here today, your first football camp back at West Bloomfield High School as an NFL player, got to be a pretty surreal moment for you, right?
Definitely. Honestly, something I've been working on for years, something that I'm so excited that I was able to finally do it. And it's a great turnout, it was a great day, great weather, and I just enjoyed myself. I had a ball.
You can teach kids a lot about the game of football in a football camp like this, but what was the message you really wanted them to take away from their couple hours out here today?
Honestly, the message I want them to take away was that they are the future, and I want them to know that they are the future, and it starts here. And I wanted them to all have, gain confidence from today. I wanted them to learn, football, obviously, but the biggest thing I want them to learn was that they are the future. And I want them to know that can't nobody tell them what they can't do right now because they're kids and they write their future. So I'm glad I was able to do that.
In terms of your journey, you had a very unique journey to even get to this point. Yeah. Highly recruited and respected out of high school, but not necessarily that guy that everyone's coming out to see every single week. Yeah. You take that to D1, you play at Kentucky, have a stellar career there. Now you're the highest drafted Laker in the history of this program. What does your story tell these kids about how the journey can go?
Honestly, my story from when I started to high school to now is really by not allowing someone else to tell me what I can and cannot be. Having the mindset at this, when I was younger, that I knew the future I seen for myself having, and I wasn't going to be stopped no matter what, no matter by who told me I was too small or who told me I wasn't a high enough recruit. I used all of that as motivation, and that's fueled me to get to where I'm at now. And honestly, I'm just reaping the benefits. Being blessed to say that I was the first rounder to come out of my high school. It's stuff like that that's surreal to me, and I just appreciate it, and I thank God. God's led my whole life. He's led me to this point, and I feel like it's on me to share that back with the youth.
Football is family, too. You had so many of these coaches that volunteered with you today. They were here with Brandon also this weekend. Yeah. Former players and former teammates of yours. What does that mean to you?
Just the fact that I was able to coordinate a volunteer group of guys that played straight at West Bloomfield, it's amazing to me. And that just goes to show you that the culture we established back then when we won a state championship was that it's a brotherhood, and that's what comes first. And years on years go by, and it's still the same thing. And it's just a blessing to see all those guys come out, man. I'm so appreciative of them. We wouldn't be able to make this camp special without those guys, and I'm just glad I was able to see them again. It was more so like a reunion.
Coming into your second year in the NFL, how's the pro life been for you?
Pro life, it's been great. Everything you dream of as a kid, But going into year 2, I want to be able to take what I learned year 1, good and bad, and I want to apply that to my second year to be able to play faster and to be a better football player. And, you know, I'm confident. I feel great. I'm excited to get into my year 2, excited to shock the world.
Always nowadays in the NFL, you look at the AFC, you look at the NFC, 2 teams you look out for are the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions. Gotta think that's your dream Super Bowl appearance, right?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, crazy enough, the first game in the new stadium is against Detroit week 2. So I'm super stoked, super excited about that, to go against my hometown team in the first game in that new stadium. I can't wait. It's going to be a movie.
So back in the day, today he's Mad Max. Back in the day, he was the best hands in the land. That's what we called him on the broadcast. And now he's an NFL football player, a star on the Buffalo Bills. We look way in the back of the field. We see the 99 over there. Back in the day, he was 22. Any chance we put your jersey up in the rafters here pretty soon?
Yes, sir. It's coming. Sooner than later. It's coming.
Well, that is good news, and you heard it from the man first, Mad Max Hairston. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I do want to clarify one thing Tyler Keats said right there. The Bills, the Lions Super Bowl, that is the Super Bowl I think everybody wants to see. I mean, I'm obviously ride or die for the Lions. Bills are kind of my backup team. So the fact that Tyler was out there, not going to lie, I'm a little bit jealous, but it is so awesome to be seeing Max Hairston coming back to West Bloomfield and showing everything that he has learned. And he's absolutely right. That first game in the new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo is going to be electric against the Detroit Lions. Best of luck to Max Hairston and to Brandon Davis-Swain, and best of luck to all of them for their continued football success. Metro Detroit endurance athlete Ryan Walker recently completed the extraordinary Pine Lake Ultraman, a self-designed 3-day endurance challenge that tested both his physical and mental resilience while supporting a meaningful cause. The Pine Lake Ultraman, get this, the Pine Lake Ultraman covered an incredible 320 miles over 3 consecutive days, including a 6.2-mile open water swim, 261 miles of cycling, and a 52.4-mile double marathon, pushing the limits of endurance athletics. Ryan Walker recently joined us on the Splash Live to share more about his journey and the powerful inspiration behind it all.
Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi. So for those who don't know in the community, tell us a little bit about what the Pine Lake Ultraman is, and then just overall what an Ultraman is for those who don't know.
Yeah, it's not the most popular event. So it's 3 days, and it starts out with a 6.2-mile swim, and for the Pine Lake Ultraman, I did that around Pine Lake. And right after that, you ride your bike 90 miles. And so you have 12 hours to finish each day. So you hop out of the lake, you change into your bike gear. I had time to have a quick sandwich, and then you hit the road on your bike. The second day is a 171.4-mile bike ride. And then the third day is a double marathon, 52.4 miles. So across 3 days, you have 36 hours to complete 320 miles of swimming, biking, and running.
Wow. That's amazing. You know, I was listening to what you're saying, and I'm like, okay, I've done all those things, but, you know, not over 3 days, maybe like a week, you know. And,
same,
you know,
same.
Yeah, and I think after you said the sandwich, I was like, I probably would have stopped then, you know, after, you know, just, you got the sandwich, I'm good, I'm going to do that. But, you know, for doing something like that, spending 3 days doing different things, and, you know, it's really about endurance. Once you crossed the finish line, what were the emotions like? How did you feel after that?
I mean, each day sort of had its own. I was lucky because since it was a self-designed event, the finish line was my driveway. So I would see my family. Some nights, friends came over, we'd have some food. But on the last day, we're making our way back toward my neighborhood, and I had my 2 sons with me. They're 13 and 11. And we get to the start of my neighborhood, and my wife was there with my daughter, who's 8, and the 3 kids ran with me with some other friends behind us. And my daughter looks back and she goes, "We always cross the finish lines with you, Daddy." And a lot of times, anyone who's done these endurance events, there's a lot of solitude out there. And the fact that her at 8 years old recognizes that, yeah, they do cross the finish line with me a lot, that really made it special. And so the emotions were high, big group hug. and then lots of food. We had some Dave's Hot Chicken and some sushi, big smorgasbord that we celebrated.
I love Dave's. That sounds so good. And I think that's so beautiful that, you know, like you said, it ended at home. And so that last push, you know, sometimes you're just tired and, you know, you're going through the, you know, normal emotions of doing something for 3 days. But that last push is just amazing, you know, just to see your family and, you know, everything. And, you know, I heard this was a course that you know, had designed yourself. So what, you know, and designing this yourself and doing this yourself, what did that look like instead of just, you know, other Ultramans participating in that? What was, you know, specific and special about this one?
Well, you know, the fact that you could design it yourself and it could be close to home, I designed it in a way where I'd be able to actually go to Hope shelters each day. I was there on day 1 and day 3. Made some alterations on day 2 just because the bike ride was so long, and to hit it in 12 hours, wanted to stay on the trails versus the city miles. But especially on the 3rd day running to the shelter, my wife and one of my really good friends that I work with were there waiting, and they had people that are volunteers there, people that run the shelter, and guests themselves had signs out, and they're cheering and ringing bells. They filled up our water bottles, gave me a granola bar, hugs, sharing their stories, and just what the event meant to them. That's really what it was at that moment that I really was like, this is why, you know, it's why in terms of raising the funds, but also why I wanted to do it the way I did and designing the course that way.
Yeah, and you know, with what you said, a lot of it comes from, you know, community involvement. You said a lot of people there cheering you on, you know, telling their stories, and your family's there and everything. And, you know, you've been open about, you know, about your mother's story and everything. And so, you know, just explain a little bit about what that means, you know, in connecting with this Ultraman that, you know, openly talked about, you know, her story and everything.
Yeah. So her story, and this is the 3rd year that I've teamed up with Hope Shelters to do an event that would raise funds for them. I tell people this, it's 10 miles from my front door. I ran there 2 days ago, but it feels like you're in another world when you're there, and they're our neighbors. And it's important that, you know, I'm lucky to be in the position that I'm in and to be able to do these types of events, that I want to be able to give something back. And going back to my mom's story, you know, I watched her growing up as a kid do these sorts of things. I would say compassion would be the #1 attribute I'd use to describe her. But in addition to that, she had her own struggles. And I think that was the seed of a lot of her compassion, was that she did suffer from addiction and bipolar disorder. Ultimately, that's what led to her death in 2008. And ever since then, my siblings and I, we've done what we can to preserve her legacy and her memory and do things that we saw her do while she was living that would make her proud and that, you know, make our communities better places to live. They really do bring people together.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you guys are doing an incredible thing. So I know she, you know, smiling down. She's very proud of you guys, because this is something amazing, you know, and you did it. And especially like you said, it's more than just an athletic achievement. It's more than just saying, hey, I did this, I swam, I did all these things for 3 days, but it's connecting to something. And tell us about, you know, just your mindset going through it, you know, in connections with, you know, you're doing this for hope and everything. So just tell us a little bit about your mindset going through, you know, in connections with this place.
You said it perfectly right there. You know, yes, I've gotten into these endurance events. I call it season 9. It's been like 9 years of consistently doing something where each year it would grow a little bit. I started out just wanting to be able to run 6 miles a week. And if I could do that and be consistent, that's 300 at the end of the year. Now I did an event that's over 300. But connecting it back to the community, like you said, it's the mission of hope. But it's also just seeing all the people around me that were inspired by this. A couple quick stories, like the run on day 3, I was never alone. I started the day, I ran 4 miles with my oldest son and then met up with some friends. And I had 4 or 5 different friends that day run their personal best. One guy that I work with ran 17 miles for the first time. The other one, his previous long was a half marathon. He ran 30 miles that day. I had one of my best friends from New York. It was his birthday. He took a 6 a.m. flight, surprised me, met me at mile 26. I was right about halfway through, ran the equivalent of a marathon in the hot sun on his own birthday, then turned around and flew home to be with his kids on Father's Day, took a 7 a.m. flight back. So like these acts of selflessness, the community, the people that were supporting me, whether it was just cheering or stopping to take a photo or handing me a Gatorade, it meant so much. And it's honestly why I kept going and why I wanted to push myself to do something that was this big. And I also promised my family that this is the last thing that'll ever be this big. This is it. This is the pinnacle.
It's a pinnacle for sure. And I just love the fact that, you know, you also are, a lot of people see your commitment to this and they see what you're doing it for, and they come from all over, you know. Like you said, you had a friend fly in, you know, just to come and run and, you know, to spend that time, because you're setting a great example, you know. And so, you know, with that, just the inspiration for other people. Now, you've already raised over $34,000, you know, for this, you know, and because of your athletic pursuits, because you're doing this and you're out there running, biking, swimming, doing it all, how have you seen, you know, that affect those people around you? How's it been to see that, you know, people are, you know, affected by this in a positive way?
I've seen people, whether it's a cause that they want to get behind, a weight loss goal they want to hit, or just starting to run on their own. They say, I've never run before in my life, but you inspired me to start trying, and now I get out there and do it. I think that's the biggest takeaway. The other thing that I realized, and I realized this really at the start of day 3, in talking to my siblings and talking to friends, I had a friend that passed away a few years ago, and I really tried to stay close with his kids. And his daughter just graduated, and she sent me a thank you card, just thanking me for how much it meant that I helped her feel connected to her dad over the years in the small ways that I was able to show up for her. And in that way, you know, an event like this and the way a community comes together, it also lets people reclaim the legacies of people that they lost. Like just no one should ever be judged by their worst day, right? And if someone loses their life to suicide, that chances are that was their worst day. That was their most painful moment. And that doesn't have to define their whole life. And I think that was the biggest thing that I took through all this, because, you know, there's lots of families out there that struggle with mental health, addiction, things that are just, they're really hard, not just on the person going through them, but the whole family unit. And this has been really healing for us. It's meant a lot to me, and I know through the people that have reached out to me as it's been going on, it's helped a lot of other people heal as well. So whether it's something big like this, or just studying hard and getting a degree, or whatever it is, whatever pursuit people use to tell their story and make meaning from it, I would just encourage them to do that. Follow your heart and lean into that, because again, this was just my way, but there's thousands of different ways that people could go about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an amazing thing that, you know, it's so many, you never know what you do when you want to make a plan for this. You never know who it's going to affect, you know. You just say, I have a purpose, I have a great cause that I'm doing this for, I'm connected with Hope Shelters, but then everybody else who's affected positively by this is just such a wonderful thing, because now that you say you help other people heal, and I think that's such an amazing thing for the community. Mental health is a big thing, and a lot of times we don't talk about it, and I think events like this get people out, and it is a mental endurance that you have to go through, you know. Like I said, you know, after that first time, you could have stopped, but you kept going, you kept pushing, and that showed others, hey, even though that, you know, I'm going through something hard, I see that, you know, Ryan has done something to push through, I can push through, you know, as well. And so I got a few more questions for you, and just the one thing I want to ask you is, what do you hope that, you know, those who have seen this and heard about it and seen you do these things, what do you hope that they have taken from this to use in their everyday life?
The one thing I would underline the most is I hope that everyone realizes that they are capable of going a little bit further than they think they can. That moment when we think we're at our limit and we think it's time to stop and we've gone as far as we can go, whether that's something like running or your work or your business or you're studying for school, whatever that thing is, you have a little bit more. Tap into that, lean into that. And once you do it once, you expand what you're capable of. Your capabilities keep growing as you keep growing. This is a perfect example of that. I didn't show up and just do this 320 miles. I built 9 years to get to this point. Every time you push beyond your limits expand.
That's amazing. It does. Every time you do that, you go farther than you think you can. And last question for you, Ryan, what is next for Ryan Walker? What is next for you? Is there anything, you know, in the future that we can look forward to?
So in terms of like endurance things, my sons, they're 13 and 11, they wanted to do an event called 4x4x48. That was their New Year's resolution. So in August, we're going to do that together. And the way that works is you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So over 2 days, you'll have run 48 miles. And they're young. And I said, we can switch to bike if you need to. But so athletically, that's the next big thing. But as a family, we are looking forward to hosting a dinner at Hope Shelters. That you have to be 18 to serve. So my wife and I and maybe some friends will do that, but we're going to prepare the meal at home and take it there. It's something we try to do to give back, and getting down to that one-to-one level where you're talking to someone as an individual. We're all just people, and you hear their stories. They tell me that it means a lot to them. Well, they mean a lot to me as well. There was one guy who came up to me during the event, gave me a big hug, and said that he had lost his mom in a similar way than I did, and he's been a guest at the shelter. And Katanya Jones, who runs the shelter right now, had texted me that night and said she had a conversation with him that he said, you know what, I'm going to focus on my health and I'm going to get my life in order. I'm going to give it my best shot right now. And maybe that was the spark for him. I hope so, because one little spark can change someone's whole life. I'm an example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you're a prime example of what it means to, push beyond your limits and do what go beyond what you think you can't do. And I think that's such an amazing thing, impacting community. I probably like to join that, the 4x48, with your sons, but I'll probably have to walk out. Probably not. I'll walk with them, not run with them. Ryan Walker, thank you so much for joining me today on the Splash Live.
Thank you. This was really nice. I appreciate you having me.
Man, that 4x48 Ryan was talking about, I feel my body getting sore just thinking about it. I don't think I could, honestly, I don't think I could ever handle something like that, but it's incredible to see what Ryan has been able to accomplish and all of the many great resources he's been able to promote with the actions that he's done. So we really appreciate Ryan for taking the time to talk with us here on the Splash Live, and we really hope he gets some rest from this Ultraman as he prepares himself for the next adventure. With summer underway, that can often mean a plethora of construction efforts all throughout the state of Michigan, specifically out on the roads, which could affect your commute or even some vacation plans in the future. Here with some insight on what we can expect out on the roads this summer is Craig Bryson, the Senior Communications Manager for the Road Commission for Oakland County. Craig, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, always love having you on. Always important information for people to be aware, especially as we go through a changing of the season, and we're in the summer season right now. For your perspective, what are the biggest road and infrastructure projects happening across Oakland County this year, and why are they so important?
Well, we've got a number of them going on or about to start that will have significant impact both during the construction and once they're done. I can just go through a list here. We've got 12-mile road from Orchard Lake to Autumn Ridge in Farmington Hills that started last week. That's a major resurfacing project. It's down to one open lane in each direction for the duration of the project, which will be in early September. We're doing another project on 12-mile road between Novi and Farmington Road. That's a 2-year project. We're starting it this year. We'll finish next year. Again, that's a major resurfacing where we have one lane open in either direction for the duration of the project this year until the fall, and then we'll open it up for the winter, and then we'll start again next year in the spring and go through the summer next year. We've got a project on 10-mile road between Middle Belt and Inkster in Farmington Hills. We're starting that July 6th. We're replacing a culvert, so that section will be completely closed through about mid-September. Then moving over to Greenfield Road in Oak Park, Southfield, and Berkeley. We're doing a major resurfacing between Lincoln and 12-mile. That's underway, and it'll be completed by September 4th. Again, it's down to one lane open in each direction. But in all these major resurfacing projects, by the way, we'll get fantastic new road surface on there. We'll make improvements to traffic signals. In some cases, we'll do curb and gutter repair, drainage improvements, things like that. We're also building a roundabout on the Commerce Township, Milford Township border at the intersection of Wixom Road, Duck Lake Road, and Sleeth Road. That started on June 12th and is going to go through late summer. The intersection is closed right now for that, but that's been a tricky intersection that'll be greatly improved by the addition of this roundabout. We've got another major project over in South Lyon. We're reconstructing Pontiac Trail from 9 Mile to just north of 10 Mile in South Lyon and Lyon Township. That's not only adding a new road surface and some additional turn lanes, it's also fixing some decades-long flooding issues that have been going on there. So we're putting in some new storm sewers, doing some improved drainage. That one will be going on through about November 15th or so. And during that project, Pontiac Trail is closed in that section northbound. Southbound remains open, but northbound is closed. We've got an ongoing project on Novi Road from 8 Mile to 9 Mile in Novi and Northville. That started last year. We're finishing that up this year. Same thing on that one. Northbound is closed. Southbound is open. That'll be finishing up in late summer. And then we've got a number of culvert lining projects in the 14 Mile and Franklin vicinity. We're lining a culvert on 14 Mile over the Rouge River, one on Franklin over the Rouge River, and one on Inkster over the Rouge River. And then as of actually starting today, 14 Mile is completely closed from Franklin to Telegraph for that project. And also finishing up today, Franklin Road between 14 Mile and going north from there had been closed to northbound traffic as well, but that'll be finishing up today. The Inkster project is going to start July 6th and end July 31st, and Inkster Road will be closed for that project as well. Those are the major projects. We've also got a lot of smaller projects, including short-term resurfacing projects going on around, but those are the biggest ones we have going on or starting soon.
My goodness, it is a very busy season for the Road Commission, it sounds like. And as Oakland County continues to experience population growth and increased traffic volumes, how are these trends influencing the way that the Road Commission plans for both today's needs and the future of our transportation network?
Yeah, the way our funding and project selection processes are set up, we're actually almost always in the catch-up phase. We don't ever go out and build new roads out in the cornfields before development arrives. There has to be traffic volume and a crash history there before we will go in and widen the road. So we're really still catching up with development that occurred 10 or more years ago in many cases. And you know, there has been a lot of development. Lyon Township, for example, South Lyon area is continuing to grow dramatically. This Pontiac Trail project is beginning to address some of that, but it's really catching up with the growth that has happened in the past. By the way, if I can add, all of our project information is available on the website. I know I went through a long list of stuff. If you want the details on that and you weren't making notes, please feel free to go to our website at www.rcocweb.org. So rcocweb.org, and all of the project information is on the website.
That's the place to go to stay up to date with any road construction that is taking place that might affect your commute and might affect your travel plans throughout this summer. Now, as people are on the road, they're going to have to be navigating around a lot of different work zones. What are the biggest mistakes motorists tend to make in work zones, and what message would you like to share with residents about keeping both workers and the drivers safe?
Yeah, the biggest thing we ask is please slow down and don't try to text and look at your phone, especially while you're in a work zone. It's never a good idea while you're driving, but you know, when you've got people working close to the road, it's a very dangerous situation. And we've had some unfortunate crashes in recent years. We lost an employee last year to a work zone crash. We don't want to have any more of that happen. We want everybody to go home. And on top of that, according to the data, it's more often than not the motorists who are injured when they run off the road in a construction zone or lose control, more than the workers. But we don't want anybody to be hurt. So please pay attention, slow down. If you're late, it's better to be late and safe than not make it where you're going.
Absolutely. Always want to make sure we're keeping everybody safe on the road. I am sorry to hear about the worker for the Road Commission who passed away. Obviously, we want to make sure everybody's safe. And yeah, you don't want to speed through. You don't want to risk anybody getting hurt. It's more important that you're safe and you're a little late than being on time, but something really, really bad happening. And with all of these road projects that are taking place all throughout the summer, all throughout Oakland County, what are the biggest things that residents within greater West Bloomfield should be aware of when it comes to navigating on the roads this summer?
Well, one of the best things you can do is go to websites like ours and the Michigan Department of Transportation, and if you have a specific route you're going, check that route before you leave, so you're not surprised to find out there's construction on your route, and you can plan accordingly, give yourself extra time if needed. That's probably the best thing you can do. Find alternative routes if there is something that's interrupting your route on the way there. And there's lots of information out there. It does take a little work to find it, but all the information is available either again on the Road Commission's website or the Michigan Department of Transportation when it comes to state highways.
Of course, all important places to go to gain a little bit more information about what's taking place this summer. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Craig Bryson with the Road Commission for Oakland County, talking about things that are going to be taking place throughout the summer season on the roads that could affect your commute and possibly could affect your vacation plans as you're navigating through these work zones. Craig, I got a couple more questions before we wrap things up. Looking beyond this construction season, what gives you confidence that the investments being made today will improve safety, mobility, and quality of life for Oakland County residents for the years to come?
That's a great question. And I can tell you that everything we do is guided by an interest in safety. We select our projects based on looking at crash data from around the county, and then we design the projects to address crashes that have happened in the past. We study all the crashes that have happened on the roads and determine whether there's something in the design of the road that can be improved that would make it less likely that there'd be crashes in the future. So not only are you getting a smooth new road without potholes, but you're getting many times a road with improved safety. And the proof is in the pudding. Many people don't realize it, but we have one of the lowest traffic fatality rates in the nation here in Oakland County. Almost every year, Oakland County has the lowest traffic fatality rate of any county in Michigan, and that's not a coincidence. We've been working with safety as our guiding principle for more than 30 years now, and that has really made a difference. Everything we do is based on how can we best improve the safety for all of the people using our roads.
I love it, Craig, making sure everybody stays safe this season. Last question before we let you go, because obviously we're coming up on a very, very big time where there's going to be a lot of traffic on the road. We got 4th of July coming up very, very soon. What are the most important things residents should be aware of as they may encounter heavy traffic out on the roads and just navigating everything safely?
Patience is a virtue, right? And the best thing you can do is just plan for traffic delays, anticipate that there may be some. We'll on the holidays we do everything we can to get the construction off the road, but projects where the road is torn up, we obviously can't halt that. But we can remove some of the temporary projects, try to open as much as possible. But there will still be road closures and delays. So please give yourself extra time and be patient. This is an inevitable part of having infrastructures that at some point, the infrastructure needs repairs, like your house. Eventually, sooner or later, you have to fix something, right? And that's the same principle with our roads. They don't last forever. We have to repair and improve them. So please just be patient and don't get mad at the road workers. Don't get mad at your fellow drivers. You'll get there. It just may take you a little longer, and better safe than sorry.
That's right. Keep that road rage in check as you navigate the roads and make sure that you pack your patience. Always important information to remember. Craig, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Road construction can often be a bit of a nuisance that you encounter, but it's all for a good reason. Navigate the road safely. You'll get to where you're going. It might take you a little bit longer, but as long as you navigate everything safely and in a timely manner, everything should be just fine. ViewFest 2026 Bloom Forward will be taking place on July 12th at the Detroit Zoo. bringing together thousands of participants for a day dedicated to mental health, prevention, wellness, and community connection. It's recognized as the largest mental health and prevention festival in the world. And ViewFest has grown from a grassroots Michigan initiative into a global model for community-based mental health engagement. We recently spoke with Glenn Schwartz with Words of Hope for Life on The Splash to tell us more.
Ryan, welcome to the show.
Glenn, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
Of course. Now, ViewFest, like I said, it's grown from a very big, from a Michigan-based initiative into what is now the biggest mental health and prevention festival. Did you envision this level of growth when the event first began?
You know, that's the million-dollar question. Absolutely not. This festival was started in 2021 as a way to bring community together, but it was really done so with the thinking that therapy is not for everybody. So, one-on-one therapy isn't accessible. It's not affordable for everybody. Frankly, it's not for everyone in general. And so we wanted to figure out a way for people to connect. And we did this through our festival, ViewFest. Never in a million years did I think that it would culminate into what it is today. In fact, this year, on July 12th, we are expecting over 400 organizations to be present, 215 plus with tables at the event, and currently 6,000 people registered to attend, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
I'd imagine so. I mean, it just shows that the impact that you have had and this event has had on so many people. Now, this year's theme is Bloom Forward. What inspired that theme, and what message do you hope attendees take away from it?
Yeah, just harkening back a little bit, every year our theme is different, and we do that intentionally. We do so kind of on a business thinking, business perspective, that we want everyone's experience to be different on an annual basis. So if you came in 2021 and 22 and 23, you're not going to get the same experience. You're not going to meet the same people. Everything is going to be unique. When we came about this year's thinking and theme, it was really born from the fact that, progress, you want progress, not perfection, right? And so Bloom Forward is about unity. It's about growth. It's about taking the next step. It's not necessarily about being a perfect person.
I like that. It's about progress, not perfection. I mean, those are wise words anybody can take with them. Now, much of the mental health conversation today focuses on loneliness and social isolation. How was ViewFest specifically designed to address those growing challenges?
Yeah, so, what we've learned is that connection itself is a protective factor, right? So if you have access to the community, if you know the resources that exist, then you have a better opportunity to overcome whatever challenge it is that you're facing. And so when we kind of determined how ViewFest was going to run, we wanted to make it so that it was a festival environment, so that it wasn't intimidating, so that you would feel like you were having fun while also communicating and coordinating and meeting people in the community who cared. One thing that I want to point out is, in today's day and age, especially with what's going on politically and with people financially, sometimes you forget that, you're not in it alone. There's other people that are struggling. And what's really important to know is that there are many, many organizations and people that do care. And that's what this is about. It's bringing all of those organizations together in one place.
You're right. Events like these just become more and more important every single year. And it's great that we have this in more so of a lighthearted festival-like environment for everybody to enjoy themselves and to gain this all-important information. Now, one of the unique aspects of ViewFest is its emphasis on the social detriments of health. Why is it important for people to understand that mental health is influenced by factors far beyond healthcare alone?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reality is that somebody can have absolutely phenomenal healthcare and still struggle, right? And so, why is that? Well, part of the reason is because in many instances, and no one likes to throw stones, but we don't really address the root cause, right? So, you can have a mental health and prevention festival with resource tables where people can come get resources, but if you don't include the actual root causes of why people struggle, then you're kind of doing a disservice to the public in general. So for us, it's about housing, it's about food insecurities, it's about sexual health, everything that you can imagine that is a root cause of mental health and of substance use disorders. Why are those things occurring? So when you attend a festival like ViewFest, you're getting connections with variable organizations within different aspects of the community. And one thing we like to tell everyone is, of the 217 tables, they're not all going to be for you, but there will be one. There will be two. There will be a few that resonate with you. And that's, having a broader approach to the festival is the way that we've done that.
It certainly is a broad approach. And I do want to circle back to something you said earlier. You said more than 400 organizations are expected to participate in this year's event. What does that say about, what does that level of collaboration say about the growing importance of community-based mental health initiatives?
This is just part of that conversation about how mind-blowing it's been. It's obviously something that's wanted, right? So for us, one of our challenges is financial on our end, right? Because we have this great relationship with the Detroit Zoo where the event is held. And, we are responsible for every person that comes in. And so, it's about getting those organization and community members together in order to make this happen, right? So harking back to your question, the community has made it very clear that this is an approach, we call it event-based community interactions, that this is something that the communities want. This is something that people want. They want to know about the organizations that exist. They want to be able to share those organizations that exist. This is the way that we do it. And, I hope in the future, kind of like looking forward, that we can continue to.
For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Glenn Schwartz, the president of Words of Hope for Life, the organizer of this year's ViewFest 2026 Bloom Forward, which is going to be taking place on July 12th at the Detroit Zoo. Now, Glenn, with ViewFest taking place at the Detroit Zoo, how does hosting the event there help create a different atmosphere and experience for attendees and for families?
Yeah, what better place than the Detroit Zoo? Not only is it Tri-County, so you're picking in Wayne and Macomb and Oakland, but we get people from all across the state. We have companies coming as far away as Houston to come to this event, which just speaks volumes as to what it is. But ultimately, activities they create natural opportunities for conversation. And when people are having fun in an environment that they want to be in, they're more likely to engage in conversation. And that's what the zoo is about. So yes, it's held there. You're with the animals, you're with general population and people that are having a wonderful day. And the zoo is just a great place. Even if you come to the festival and only spend a short period of time there, you have access to the zoo for the balance of the day. And some people don't get that chance. So this is part of that.
Yeah, the zoo is such a great place. I remember going there when I was a little kid. It's just everybody will have an amazing time. Now, with an event like ViewFest, we want to understand how it helps all the communities throughout Michigan, especially a community like Greater West Bloomfield. How does ViewFest benefit communities like Greater West Bloomfield, and why should local residents consider attending?
Yeah, it's about opportunities to learn about services before there's a crisis. So, ultimately, like you said, it's going to be for all communities. And I can't really single out the West Bloomfield community or the Walled Lake, which is where we're at. Ultimately, it's hundreds of organizations and resources in one place. And so that's what you're looking for. That's the type of connection that you're going to get. And you're going to get those opportunities to learn. Many times, people don't have to care, right, until they have to care. And so if you know that these resources and these organizations exist, if you, a loved one, a friend, whoever it might be, is ever having an issue, you can help them address it before it becomes crisis.
I love that. Absolutely. Make sure everybody is working together to help one another, especially through mental health crises like this one. That's why these events are so important. Glenn, a few more questions before we wrap things up. As awareness of mental health continues to grow, what do you think communities still need to do better when it comes to supporting residents and reducing stigma?
So, I think ultimately, again, people obviously want these community type events. I get a little bit off track and sidetracked when we start talking about breaking the stigma, because I feel like the social determinants of health, which kind of determine the root causes of mental health and prevention issues, we kind of think that mental health can be solved with one quick fix, right? And it can't. Everyone's problem is not everyone's problem. So paying the mortgage can create anxiety for someone. Getting in a car and driving can create anxiety for another person. Of course, you got depression, and you've got other things. So again, it's just about the community. It's about bringing people together and knowing that those resources exist so that they can identify if they've got some issues in the future.
I love it, Glenn. Everything is so important for everybody to remember when it comes to mental health. Now, as we said earlier, you said ViewFest, it's only been going on for a few years at this point. Looking ahead, where do you see ViewFest in the next 5 to 10 years? And how do you hope it continues to shape the conversation around mental health, prevention, and community connection?
Well, if I give you my honest answer, I don't know that my team will ever let me do this again. But the reality is that it continues to grow. We've had some unbelievable sponsors and individuals step up. The theme, again, will change every year. What I'd like to see is this be replicated, right? This is not about us. One of the things that we did, I just want to mention real quickly, part of these events, we've broken 2 world records. One was for the longest line of postcards using what's called our Hug Buddy postcard project, was a kindness project. We did one line at 2.8 miles. And the other record that we broke was the largest number of people trained on Narcan, or the opioid reversal kits, in a single day. The reason why we did those things was because we wanted those records to be broken. We didn't do it to maintain the record. We wanted somebody to see that we did it and then replicate it, right? Because the more people that do that type of training, the more people that do kindness initiatives, it makes the world a better place. So this event and this style of event can be replicated throughout the country. It doesn't have to be just here. I would love to see our event get even bigger. I would love to see other organizations, some big organizations, step in and help us with funding. I've always said, if somebody came in tomorrow with $100,000, we would have 15,000 people at this event. It wouldn't even be a question. So, that's kind of where I see it. I hope people can join us that day. One last point about it. It is reserved for the first 7,000 people that register. And I said we're at 6,000, so there's not a whole heck of a lot of time. We still got 1,000 tickets. They are free. You can go online at viewfestmhf.com and register for free. All of the information about the event and our contact information is there, and we would love to see the community out.
Sounds like it. ViewFest 2026 is ready for everybody. So many great things for people to check out. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that's going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for helping to make this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff, live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.